Hello guys, today we will be making a tic-tac-toe game in Python, so stick out to see how you make it. So guys, the first thing you want to do is make a class, which will be your player. Have it take one argument, which will be the name argument. So definition, initialize, and the name argument, which is going to be personalizable by you and will ask his name. Name. Okay, so the second thing you want to do is you want to start the game class, and the way that this program is gonna work is by, so it's gonna print an f string of the board. Look, I can show it to you here. So it's gonna print an f string of the board with some numbers, and their default position is gonna be set to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so you can choose between them. So I'm gonna do that right now. I have it copied from my last project. So I'm gonna have an initialize method which will take the two players and which are gonna be instances of this player class, and the default positions, and a list of the moves and the counter so you can keep track. The second function you want to do is so you want to get an input from the player, which you will use to see what position he wants to move, basically. So definition, get input, and 1, so we know that this is for player 1. Gonna open parentheses, put the self so we know which instance we're talking about, and you're gonna make a variable input 1 is equal with input and the text you want to write, please choose a number. And this function is gonna return the input, so you can use the input. And I'm gonna do the same thing for player 2. Oh, sorry. Control copy. But I'm gonna change this to input for player 2. This 2, and yeah. So the next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you will validate the input that you get. So you are going to make a function validate player 1 again for player 1, and it's going to take as an positional argument the input itself, so input. Yeah. So I'm going to copy this from my previous project. Yes, Control copy, Control paste, and the other part. Okay. Ooh. This is, wait. Yeah, so change of plan, I'm gonna write it myself. So elif, you can skip this part, but I need to write it as it's crucial. And yeah. Oh, actually I'm gonna copy it from the first time, so we save more time. Okay guys, I copied it. So what this basically does, it checks if the input is equal to 1, and if the position is already equal to 1, because if it wouldn't be equal to 1 and it would be equal to x, it means that it would already be taken, so we don't want that. And if this condition is satisfied, we replace it with x, and we add input to the player move. So basically, and then when it prints the board, instead of 1 it will print x, so we can see it. So you want to do the same thing for player 2. You want to make function validate 2. You want to do the same thing. You want to take input 2 as a positional argument, and I'm going to copy paste from my other project because I already did this. And yes, so this is basically the same thing but for player 2. So you see that it replaces it with O, so when it prints it, it will be with O. So the next thing you want to do is you want to see if a player actually wins. So you want to make a function definition check winner, I think this is how I'm gonna name it, and 1 for player 1. So you're gonna take the self arguments, which is mandatory in object oriented, and you're basically gonna do a check for the variables self dot position 1, position 2, position 3. These ones, we're gonna do a check for them like this. So if the position 1, so this is basically gonna be a column, so let me show you. So if those all are x, it's gonna return true, and then it's gonna print that you win, because the way that this works, it replaces the value self dot p9 with 0, so that's how it will check. You want to do the same thing for the second player. Like this. I'm gonna copy it from my project. Okay, so copy. Yeah, so it's basically the exact same thing, but instead of checking for x, it checks for 0. So remember that the value from this input, it's always gonna be a string. So you wanna check here for the string, not 9. So yeah, this is also a thing I messed up a lot. Okay, so this is optional, but if you want to make it more fancier, after each move you can show the collection of moves that the player has. So you see that here it appends the position to this list, so you can make a function that shows the list. So definition show move 1. This is just gonna print self dot player 1 moves, and we're gonna do the same thing for player 2, but we're gonna change this to 2. Okay, so now what the last methods that we will have are to check if it's a draw. So how you want to do this? So you want to make a function called check draw 1. So this is going to check for a draw, and it will take the self argument as usual. And how you want to check this? So if the length of the list of moves self dot player 1 moves, So if the length of this list is equal to 5, so the player has 5 moves, and you're gonna call the see if someone the check win the check winner method. You're gonna call it, and you're basically gonna see if this player has 5 moves and hasn't already won, so this is not equal to true, you're gonna return true. So this is an easy check to see if someone won, if it's a draw. Do the same thing for player 2. Replace this, and this with 2. So now we have the exact same thing for player 2. And now the harder part, we're gonna make the method that actually plays the game. Definition play. It's gonna take the self argument, and we're gonna make a loop. So while true, this is a forever loop, but it's gonna get broken out when someone wins. It's a draw, you know. So the first thing you want to do in this loop is print the board. So I'm gonna copy this from here because I have the board here. So no, sorry, excuse me. The first thing you want to do is add +1 to the counter. It's here. So you want to add +1 to it all the time, and then you want to print the board. This is the board. After you added +1 and printed the board, you want to get the imp. So you want to check which player to ask. So how you do this is if self.counter mod 2. So if you did, so basically if the first player needs to be called, the number isn't gonna be even because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So if it's 1, 3, 5, it's gonna be not even. So how you check this is you check if the division by 2, the remainder, is not gonna be equal to 0. This is how you check for it. So you want to make a variable that is going to be equal to the get the input method. So how you do this, you set input equal to self dot, and we call the method get input 1 because this is we're talking about player 1. Yes, and then how you call this is by, so you're gonna do a check if self.validate date 1, and you see that this takes a positional argument here. You see this one input, and how you call it, you put here input, this input here. So basically now you see it highlighted, it's no longer dark, so you called it. So if it's validated, it will return true. So this is a check to see if it's validated. You see it will return true right here. So it will return true, and then how I told you, this is absolutely optional, but you can show the moves that the player has. Self.show move 1, because we're talking again about player 1. And then you're gonna apply the try keyword. So the program is gonna try to see if self.checkWinner 1. So if this is true, so it's gonna check if this is true. Print, it's gonna print you win, and we're gonna make this actually an F string, and you win, and open curly braces, self dot player one dot name, because as I told you in the beginning, we have this class here which has the name argument. So this is gonna say you win your name, which you give it to the class. So, and then as also a nice thing you can do in, so wait, I need to put this in the parentheses. So you win in this many moves, self.counter. This is gonna show like the counter, which is gonna be a number. And exclamation. So this is, and then you need to break out of the loop. Remember this, because then it will keep on continue. It will continue. Oops, break, yeah. And then finally, you wanna check if there's a draw also, because that's a possibility. If self.check draw one, because this is again about player one, because it's a prime number. You're gonna print this again. This is optional what you print. This is just the first thing that came to my mind. Print it's a draw between self.player player one dot name and self.player two dot name. So notice that it said that this is an attribute to the game class, but once we replace player one with an instance of player, then the dot name will make sense to the program. So this is basically everything you need to do. And then, oh yeah, very important part, you need to break out of the loop so that it doesn't continue. So now I'm gonna copy paste the exact same thing for player 2. So I'm gonna copy this. So if this is, now we check that if this is equal to 0, so we're talking about player 2. Sorry, I'm looking at my second screen. Yeah, so we need to redefine this to input 2 because it's already used. We're gonna give an, so you see that this is not highlighted. Now it will, because we're calling this function here. Validate for player 2, show move for player 2, check winner for player 2, and it should show here player 2 dot name. Yeah, so this is basically it. Another thing you want to do, so after it breaks out of the loop, you a nice thing you should do is you want to, so notice that this is outside the loop. Wait a second. So yeah, notice that what I'm writing here is outside the loop. So what you want to do is, wait, I'm gonna copy paste the board from here. So what you want to do is print the board again so that you can see the board how you want or how it was a draw. So to run this, you need to make the instances for the player class and the so you want to do the instance for the player class and the game class. So p1 player 1 equals to the player class, or wait, how did I note it? Player with capital letter. Make sure you put the capital letter, of course. So you're gonna see here player, it's gonna pop up, and the argument is gonna take is name, as you see here. So what personalized name? I'm gonna put Lamberts because this is my YouTube name, and p2 a second instance of this player class. Gonna put it at player 2 because I cannot come up with a name right now. And we're gonna also make a class of game1 of the game class. Game. We're gonna see it takes two positional arguments, and we're gonna put them p1 and p2. Okay. And now to play, you're gonna call the play method on this instance. Wait, with capital letter. Don't forget to put the brackets, it's very important. And now we're gonna run this. Run. It should work. So choose a number. Yeah, the board is messed up. So what you want to do when the board is messed up, you want to add some spaces right here. So more spaces. So once you see it aligns up. A little bit less. And I think that outside the loop it will also be good to do that, but we'll see. So you see it replaces 1 at tier 1. So the second player is gonna go to 2. I'm gonna put on 4. He's gonna go on 5, 7. So you win my name in 5 moves because this 3 plus 2 is 5. So you see that this board is also messed up, so you need to add some more spaces. Let me run it again quickly. 2, 4, 5, 7. Yeah, so it's perfectly aligned. Yeah, this is how you make a tic-tac-toe. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye.